What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on a recent episode of the Running Back Podcast where Bobby Portis was talking about the current state of the Milwaukee Bucks, right? And one topic he was talking about is like how they expected to be able to have more success this year and at least the last couple years from their team, they was expecting more success. Also, Bobby Portis spoke about Giannis, maybe shutting it down for a year. And so now, before I get to play the audio from Run It Back, my thing is I have always said that once Milwaukee won that championship in 2021 and they got rid of the coach, Mike Budenhauser, you know, I just think that they just started to tinker with success. And in my opinion, success is fragile, right? I always say that if it's not broke, then don't fix it. And so they got rid of the coach, Mike Budenhauser. Uh, then they got, then they traded Holiday, and they just made some trades and some moves. I think that set them back. They brought in Dame Lillard. Then they got rid of a coach again. What was his name? Adrian Griffin. They got rid of another coach. They brought in Doc Rivers. All these different changes. And I have always thought that once you have success, just try to build on that. Not by subtraction. Like when they took away the coach, I thought that was a mistake. And then when they took away Holiday, the people that they're taking away were not people that was exactly like holding them back. They weren't distractions. And I just felt like they weren't holding them back. And so just to make change for the sake of making change, or to make change for the sake of making a player happy, right? I just thought that was a mistake. And even now, years after they made those changes, it just hurt Giannis. So now, Giannis even probably was thinking about, and probably still is thinking about, moving on to another team. But those were years that were wasted. If you go to a championship with Drew Holiday and Mike Budenhauser, and then the next year y'all don't make it, and you having some chemistry issues or something like that, then try to try to figure out from there. But just to go out and make wholesale changes like they did, I just thought that they wasted, in my opinion, a lot of too many years of this guy's Giannis talent. Just it was just a waste. Now Giannis is in a situation where he can move and he can go to another team, but it won't be the same. Like the better teams in the league don't even need Giannis. So, it's not like he can go to Boston, like Boston needs him, or he can go to OKC, like the better teams around the league, they have their team, they have their chemistry, and they working on getting to a championship. So these teams don't need Giannis. So what teams need, the teams that do need Giannis are probably going to be in a situation where they're going to have to probably give up some things to get Giannis. And then there's going to be a time period where there's an adjustment period where you need to develop chemistry. So I just think it was valuable time lost. And with that being said, man, I want to listen to this podcast, listen to a little bit of what Bobby Portis had to say. Then I'm gonna come back and give some more of my input.
He is back. Welcome. Welcome. Good morning, Bobby. Thank you as always. Look, we're going to get to the NBA and all of that, but we got to talk a little college hoops for your Arkansas Razorbacks. Losing to Arizona, which I suppose if you're going to lose to somebody, it's one of the teams you're supposed to lose to, but ACUF. People are really starting to.
So it's been fun all season, man, just to watch him even kill throughout the entire game. It's always been to win championships. How can we make it to June? How can we be the last team standing? That's always been the goal. So Coming into the season, I never thought that, especially with the roster we have, that I thought that was pretty good with great players, that we wouldn't, be in the playoffs at all. So it's kind of weird for me personally. I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, definitely weird, that weird feeling of, once the regular season's over, it's over, right? Most of the time when the regular season's over, you have 2 or 3 days to, prep and watch the play-in tournament and watch who wins those games. And then, you find out who you're playing, whether you're, 7, 8 seed, or whether you're, 3, 4 seed like we was the last couple of years. So definitely a weird place to be in, but I think the future's bright.
Bobby, last week, one of the co-owners of the Bucks, Wes Edens, he had some stuff to say, and he basically was very cut and dry. He said Giannis can either sign an extension or Giannis can be traded. Now, which of those two do you think are more likely? Obviously, you hope to have him back, but you never really heard in the middle of a season. Obviously, no, the playoffs aren't in the picture now, but you never really heard an owner come out and just say that during the season.
Yeah, I think he's like extension eligible, like October 1st or some stuff like that. So that's a long ways away. To wait around or whatever it is, especially October, where that's like preseason, guys getting into training camp, getting their teams together. So I think the first time in my career, I don't really know what's going to happen. You feel me? I always think I have a great sense, especially throughout the season or going into the off season, on what our direction is right now. It's kind of up in the air. Obviously, with the season we had, it's been up and down. A lot of dark clouds, obviously, because of the Giannis trade talks and whatever it is. And it can go either way this summer, for real. Obviously, if you put $200 million in front of somebody, you got to think about it, right? You got to be like, wow, this $200 million 4 years, it'd be 60 a year. So I think on Giannis' side, he's gonna have you know what I'm saying? He's gonna have a lot to think about it too. But I don't really know it's a direction of what our team's gonna go, for real. I'm just taking it a day at a time, and still in the lab, just trying to get better every day.
See, I think the Milwaukee Bucks, like, the reason why Milwaukee made that statement is because of, like, what I said earlier. The better teams in the league don't need Giannis. And there's not a team, in my opinion, that's like right on the bubble, whereas though Giannis can push them over the top. You got teams that are really good that don't need Giannis, and then everybody else is trying to get there. And those teams that are trying to get there would not be a better situation for Giannis, because they are more than just one player away. Because if Giannis could carry the team, then he would do what he want to do somewhere else. He would be able to do that in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is not sitting at the top of the East, so he needs to go somewhere where he can, immediately push a team over the top. And the pieces at that and the other team where he was trying to go have to already be there. So there's not a team like that I can see in the league right now, whereas though the only missing piece is Giannis. And ownership, the Milwaukee Bucks ownership knows that. And so they're using that as leverage. They know that if Giannis goes anywhere else, there's going to be a rebuilding thing, period. They got to develop chemistry. They got to bring in the right pieces to put around Giannis. And Giannis is, he's getting up there in age. So they offering Giannis this money, and they probably telling him, it's like, look, we know what you need, the kind of players you need around you. We're going to definitely go out and we're going to try to put those guys around you. And we're going to give you the money that, that we think you deserve. So, I think that Giannis, in my opinion, is probably going to stay with Milwaukee. If I was to bet, I would bet, just looking at the rest of the league and what's going on around the league, I think, it's not like he's going to go somewhere that's in a better situation. Like if he could go to OKC or something like that, then that would be different. Or if he could go to, the Spurs or something, but those type of situations don't present themselves right like that. So I think that Giannis will probably stay because there's not he's going to make more. He's going to get his money, and then on top of that, he'll be with a team where as though he won't have to just develop chemistry. He just gonna have to hope that his guys, they play better next year with him, and they bring them in some more help, like either through free agency or the draft. But I don't think Giannis have leverage, and I think that's why the team was bold enough to put that statement out there, like either shit or get off the pot. Basically, is what they telling Giannis, man. So that's my that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'm gonna check y'all out in the next video. Peace.